If I could explain it, I wouldn't need faith. It's just something about when you walk in the place. I've seen you heal people, set captives free. With just one word, you delivered me. This is what happens when you're in the room. Miracles, signs, and wonders. I've seen it happen time after time. Miracles, signs, and wonders.
Hi there, this is Tameka Riley, and welcome to this week's episode of Chasing God. Today I am here with Patricia, and Patricia has a particularly powerful testimony that she's going to share with us today, just about the redemptive power of God and that you cannot go too far to where He cannot reach you. Thank you
Not at
so
all.
much for joining, Patricia. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
you're welcome. I'm very
I'm,
happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I really am. I know you have a powerful testimony.
I do.
Um,
Been through a lot.
but God, right?
But that's right.
So, tell me about your. I usually start like at the conversion story because I like to know if people
We
kind of
can.
saved or if if this was something that occurred later. You mentioned in the pre-interview that you grew up in a Christian home.
hmm I grew up in a Christian home,
Hmm.
very Bible based. My parents both prayed. The first
Hmm.
time I got saved, I remember I was probably around two, listening to a children's tape and just praying along. And I wasn't told to do it, but that
Yeah,
was the first time. You know how most of us have it. The first time I got saved, so that was
yeah.
that was it. So God had me
Mhm.
from the very beginning. But that
Mhm.
household, there was love there, but there was also dysfunction.
I see.
And being the oldest of three, I had to be the one to keep the peace. My
Mhm.
dad was a drug addict, but also a great dad. So
Mhm.
it's like Mr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde. My
Yeah.
mom did a lot for us, and I know she loves us in her own way, in their own way, both of them. But the scary mom would also come out, the one who, you know, the scary one.
I see.
um, so it kind of started that way, but we were always in church, Sundays and eventually Wednesday evenings for Bible study.
Yeah.
So, the foundation has been there even when I tried multiple times. Okay, God, I'm going to be atheist. I don't believe in you. Yeah, I'm telling him I don't believe in you. That didn't work out. Okay, fine. I'll just be agnostic. That didn't work out. And I'm like,
Mm.
well, then, God, I'm just going to break up with you. And finally, I was like, you know what? Okay, I can't give up on you. You won't give up on me. So, all right. He's like, are you done with your tantrum? Yes, come back.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's always
So
been with me.
that was like what that wrestle that was that during your teenage years?
It was late teenage years because I've always, or it's better, it's God's got it now. But there is a long period from birth to just a couple years ago. I struggled with depression, and
Right.
sometimes it still tries to hit, but just learning the tools and really just standing on God.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's really what caused the wrestle was just the depression. You mentioned your environment. Your dad suffered with addiction. Your mom as
Yeah.
well, or just your dad?
My mom, for her, she was unstable. So
I,
one minute, loving, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, I don't know what to say because if I answer the question, she might yell. If I don't answer the question, she might yell. So it's literally living in that tension, walking on eggshells for both parents. Oh man, what's going to happen today? And
I
trying
see.
to parent my brothers.
Mm.
So
How old are
since I
you?
was young.
How far apart are you from your brothers? Were you much older than they?
No, my middle brother, I'm 4 years older, and then
I
the
see.
baby is six. So we were close.
Okay, but you had a lot of responsibility, it sounds like, on your shoulders. You felt like you had to keep the peace between the two adults, and then you also had to raise the younger siblings.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like that's a
You
lot.
just want to
Wow.
protect, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot for a child. So you mentioned there was a time when you had gotten into some addiction, I believe, some
Hmm.
drug use of your own, and then the Lord met you miraculously there. What
Oh
can you
yes,
kind of
yes,
add some
ma'am.
color to that?
Oh sure. It started even when I was, let's say, early 20s, late teens.
Mm-hmm.
I was an insomniac. Even before that, struggling with depression, nights just laying awake and just being scared and anxious and sad, having to deal with ideation. So as I got older, it's like, all right, let me try to take something to
Mm,
try to knock myself out. And
yes.
I would call it my cocktails, right? So I would just take whatever pain medicine, and I don't know why I would always count out 11 Benadryls. I don't know why that was the number, but
Wow.
that's what I did, mixing it with whatever medications I had. Take that
Mm,
every night for
mm.
about 15 plus years.
Wow. 11
Hmm.
Benadryl.
Oh, on top of pain medicine.
Oh gosh.
Yes. So, it was my cocktail
Wow.
every night just to try to sleep.
Try to find some peace.
Yes, ma'am. And it went
Wow.
on for a long time.
Wow.
Um, and then about 12 years ago,
Hmm.
I went on, there was about a 6 month period where I would just, I don't know what happened, something clicked, and I just would go on binges. I would have blackouts. Just, it went from it going nighttime to it spread into my daily life because
Mm,
things around me had gotten really bad. Um, stuff with my parents, stuff with myself, questions I couldn't find answers to. So for a 6 month period,
mm,
I know I wasn't acting like myself. Um, and November the 8th, the weekend of November the 8th, 12 years ago, was the last weekend before I ended up in rehab. And I remember going to dinner with my friend Amanda. And then I already had plans. I'm going to go home. I bought supplies. I'm not even really a huge drinker back then. I mean, I don't drink now, but
hmm.
I used alcohol to make the pills work faster.
Oh
So,
wow. Mhm.
so the point was always to knock myself out.
Mhm.
So that was Friday night. I had bits and pieces of memory, but I woke up Sunday morning. There was blood, ink, wax, and like various knives. I think even some scissors. I woke
Oh,
up with 6 safety pins pierced through my arm.
ah, wow.
Yeah, and there was a point where I remember being in the bathtub, and I had an X-Acto knife, which is a really sharp craft scalpel,
Hmm.
and I I tried pushing on my skin, nothing. I ended up trying to do like a railroad pattern,
Hmm.
and it wouldn't even. It could have been a plastic spoon. It did nothing. Didn't scrape, nothing. And I always wondered all this time, God, how did that happen? It was a brand new knife. And
Wow.
then he showed me that there was an angel that actually wrapped his arms around me. So that's why it would not touch my arm.
Mm,
So it was just at that time, I didn't realize that's what it was. I knew it was God. I knew God stepped in, but I'm like, I always thought maybe he made the blade dull. But I
mhm.
remember afterwards, I'm like, oh, this is still sharp. um,
God.
but it was recently that as I was praying, he's like, you know what I did for you, right? There was an angel right there. He showed me, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
yes,
That's
ma'am.
powerful. So your intention that night, were you, this was just a form of cutting, something that you did, or were you trying to commit suicide, or what was your, well, you weren't, you said you blacked out though, so you really,
I had like bits and pieces of memory, so I would
mhm.
have a flash of memory where I even tried to burn myself. Um, I think there was a candle, and I would just try to brand myself, I guess. Just random stuff. There was ink. I guess at one point I took the pen, and that's what I heated. Um, just
Oh, I see.
scissors and the X-Acto knife and another really dull knife. That one I did have scratches on from, and I was called a really bad word. I was called a whore for some time, even though I was pure. From I think it was my mom that used to do that because she was projecting from what she was doing, and
Oh,
I actually carved that on my leg. And to this day, there's no mark or anything, but that kind of got me in the mindset.
Mm.
And when I woke up Sunday morning, I I had enough in me to text a nurse friend and my best friend, and both of them were like, you're going to the ER right now. So they took me there. It was too late to pump my stomach, because but even though it was binging all weekend, but I guess there was enough time where it would have done nothing. Um, but I just remember the looks on the people's faces. It was both like kind of feeling sorry for you and also shock. Because here
Mm.
comes this person out of her mind, cuts and stuff everywhere, and six safety pins pierced into my skin.
Mm.
And from there, went to a behavioral place
Mm.
for 8 days. And then after that, immediately to rehab. And that it was there where I was like, I got the revelation that it's okay if I was hurting myself because I can handle myself, right? But I learned, wait, I was hurting my loved ones. I hurt other people. And that's what it took for me to be like, you know what? Enough of this. But
Mm.
there was for some reason, from that time to maybe 2 or 3 years, it changed from I am getting clean for you, but now I'm going to stay sober for me.
I-
And it, a lot of like mountains and valleys, right? So there, God got me clean, but I
mhm.
had to go through a couple other journeys to get to where I am now.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
My goodness, that is so powerful. So so the turning point for you was basically when you realized that you were hurting other people, not necessarily
Yeah,
just yourself. And those
yeah.
people were your siblings, your mom, your friends, basically.
All of the above.
Yeah.
I have no friends; they're all family.
Yeah.
I'm, a, you
Amen.
know,
I get
I'm
it.
I'm very blessed. God
Yeah.
really put some solid people in my life. My best friend was like, "All right, that's enough of this. We're taking you to the ER."
That's
I
awesome.
have uh, people in my life that are just very loving.
Yeah.
Somebody's whistling to us. They're just very loving, right? And they have stuck with me. And I guess that was the anchor that I needed at that time to
That's
get
awesome.
clean. And from there, I kind of then ended up in this journey of, well, my mom would still call me these words, right? If
Mm.
that's what you say I am, then that's who I'm going to be. So I went through this period where I did give lots of myself away, not really realizing the impact of that. Not
Right.
really, to be honest, not really caring what it did to me, even though I knew, what am I doing? Did I enjoy it? No, but I did it just because.
Yeah.
I ended up with a narcissist because of that. I ended up in a situation where I can't call it the R word because I didn't say no because I was scared. I didn't think he would stop anyway. I didn't know what he was going to do, but it was so horrible. Um, I mean, I was just cut up and bleeding everywhere. I
Oh
got
my
up to go
goodness.
clean up in the bathroom, blood. I came back out. The bed was, I had blood, and the guy was just like nonchalant. I'm like, let me get out of here while I'm still alive.
Oh my
So just
gosh.
going through all that. And then finally, last year, even after I tried not to believe in it, even after I got caught up in the lie of, let's call it spirituality, right? Where you could take, let's say, the values of Christ and,
Hmm.
oh, this kind of makes sense too, and this kind of makes sense too. Let's make this a buffet, right? And
Hmm.
just to kind of mold it according to my logic
Great.
and my
Yeah.
own comfort.
Hmm.
And then last year, finally, I knew I was always meant to help people. I knew I was always meant to just bring hope, and we're the light of the world, the salt of the earth, right?
Yeah.
And I would do different projects. But the first project, Unbroken Project, we were doing great, and then life happened. That was around rehab.
Hmm.
And then the last couple years or so, okay, God, you told me go to the other side, right? Just like Jesus told the apostles, great. How? Where? I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I just kept saying, how, where, what? But
Hmm.
finally last year, I ended up meeting this person and who ended up being the catalyst for change. And it just took all about a year or so of God emptying me out, of coming to a place of total and complete surrender, of realizing, he says, seek first the kingdom of heaven.
Yes.
Oh my
Thanks.
God. No.
We
So
like.
I even put it on do not disturb. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay. So God said, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and He'll give you the desires of your heart.
Right.
And He kind of showed me that my one main thing that I always wanted was that love, right? The one true love. And He's like, "Oh, that's great that you know." And I gave it to me. I'm like, ah, and
Yeah.
that hurt. That was my Isaac, right? Abraham and Isaac. But I'm like, God, there's nothing and no one I want more than you. And me
Mm.
surrendering that and just going through this process of emptying out and being stretched, which I'm not gonna lie, sucks. It
Yes.
hurts.
It's hard. It
But
hurt.
then you can't pour into an empty cup, right? So that's
Right.
pretty much what God was doing. And this I can tell you now. When you really truly give your heart's most desire, you're not really going to be thinking about cars and jewelry and money. You're going to be thinking about something that's really valuable to you. And when you give that to God,
Yeah.
and it's really something that's yours, it's going to go through this God filter. And then when He gives it back, it is going to be better than anything you ever even could have come up with. So now
Ooh,
here
you
we
are
are.
preaching to me right now. Oh my God, that's powerful. So you said you mentioned a project. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about the project you were talking about? The
Yes,
broken
ma'am.
piece.
Yeah, Unbroken Project. That was
Broken.
initially what, yeah, I did. My best friend and I did 13, 14 years ago. Uh, we would we wanted to show the tangibility of hope through
Oh,
shared stories and experiences, right? Kind of similar to what you're doing. And
okay.
then we would have a photo shoot, we would do an interview, and then we would just build community with people that know they're not perfect, that felt hopeless, but yet they got out of it. And through that, I would get emails every day. I would just be crying, like, "Oh, okay, this is worth it, all the hard work."
Yeah.
Um, and then to now, finally knowing, all right, it's time to go back. Now it's called As I Breathe, I Hope, because
Hmm.
hope is huge.
Yes.
Showing that it's tangible. It's not the, a cute little plaque you buy from like the craft store.
Right.
It is a real living thing.
It
And I
is
believe it's hope that sparks our faith. They go hand in hand, right?
for sure.
So also just wanting to, I was always called to ministry.
Hmm.
So now that and combining that, the tangibility of hope with God, which is who is our hope,
Yes, he is.
and just being obedient. And I'm in the process of writing a book about what I've been through, um, about hope and redemption and love, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
ma'am. So that's
amazing.
where we are.
I love that, he was there the whole time. It's like he
Mm,
didn't, even when you were trying to deny him and you were trying to walk away, you were trying to like break up with him, as you said,
yeah.
um, he was still there. The angels were there, and they
Oh, yeah.
protected you when you wanted to. You weren't even in your right mind. Who knows
No.
if you would have even come out of that, if not for
Right.
and it just reminds me of his love, how his banner over us is love. And so many people feel like, when they're at moments like that, that's when God is mad at them or he hates
Right.
them or,
Right.
he's standing over them with a lightning bolt, what just can't wait to strike them down. And the
Like
whole
snipe.
time, yeah,
Yeah.
right. And the whole
Yeah.
time he's reaching for you with love, just like we
Right.
would our own child if we found that they had fallen and scraped their knee, you would take them in your arms. He doesn't look at us with hatred. You don't see your own child with hatred at those moments. And
No.
um, if us being, sinful human beings, if we can feel that way towards flesh and blood, how much more, our Heavenly Father. So I really, really appreciate that part about it. You mentioned in the pre-interview as well, like when you were a child, you had given your heart to God, just you know, and just
Yes.
that small, even as a child, just inviting Him in,
Right.
and just He came in and He remained,
Yeah. And I
your whole
know
life.
now, kind of looking at everything, he's been showing me
Yeah,
however present he truly is,
for sure.
even in those moments where I felt like I don't deserve to pray.
Right.
How can I come to this pure, perfect, clean God
Hmm.
and I'm so messy, I'm so dirty, I'm gross, right?
Right.
And but he's always been there, but let's not forget, he's not just God, sovereign, the great I am, but he's also Father.
He is.
And it finally was like, You're going to chase me down just like he was going to leave the 99 sheep for the one lost one, right? That is definitely something I can relate to.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this is kind of coming up. He reminded me during my prayer time the other day of, Elijah in the Bible. After he did all these miracles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had cost of terrain, all those false prophets were gone.
Yeah.
And Jezebel threatened him. He got scared and ran.
Yeah.
Like, why? Because he was tired.
Mm-hmm.
He was depressed. And he went and hid in that cave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And God said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And just to kind of paraphrase, "I'm the only one left. I've done everything you said. Everybody else is gone." And
Yeah.
then come to the mouth of the cave. And then, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" "I'm the only one left." The same rehearsed lines, like kind of like how
Mm-hmm.
we say the same things to
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. But God showed me this revelation. We're like, wait, he wasn't found in the fire or the earthquake. It was in the whisper where he finally heard God, right?
Yeah.
And then in the whisper, sometimes we have to lean in when we think, oh, where is God? He's not even here. But let me be quiet and lean in so we can hear that whisper, which is intimate, right? It
Yeah.
shows affection.
Yeah.
And then kind of in the Bible, as God walked through the mountain, which was, where Elijah was in the cave, the
Mm-hmm.
mountain broke itself, split itself in two and fell. And it's like, wait a minute. Jesus said, nobody else will worship me. The rocks will. And I'm like, a mountain is just a giant rock, right?
It is, isn't
And
it?
it tore itself in two and it fell basically to worship him. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Wow, I never thought
in a
about
whisper.
it. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yes,
powerful.
ma'am.
I
Yeah.
never thought about it like that. Wow.
Yeah, he just revealed that to me the other day. And even I can go a little further if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So he reminded me of when Jesus was talking to the apostles. And he was like, so you speak to a mountain and tell it to fall down in my name, it will. And then God showed me that parallel where it's like, wait a minute, the actual mountain Jesus was talking about was sin. And we use his
Mm.
name, right? Lord Jesus, forgive me. I come to you, I surrender. Then the mountain falls. The mountain tears open in two and falls because now there's a way to get to the Father. So I'm
Wow.
just like, wow. And then what would happen with Elijah, I'm like, there are parallels to a lot of things if we look deep enough.
There is. There
Yes,
really
ma'am.
is. Wow, like the Red Sea parting, a whole mountain
Yes,
parting.
that's right.
I love that. That's wonderful. Gosh. And even the story about Elijah, I used to think, it was kind of peculiar, but I get it, being drained, depressed, depleted, feeling alone
Yeah,
and all of that, because initially it was kind of like, okay, you just slayed all of
yeah,
these men. You just
right.
single
You got it
handedly.
to rain, right?
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
fire came on the wet altar and,
Hmm.
this massive victory, and now you're running from a woman with a note from a woman, not even,
Right.
you
Which
know,
was an empty threat. She would have done it
an
otherwise if
empty
she could.
threat. Yes. Oh
Right.
my God. And when God had already shown up so powerfully, but it just goes to show it can happen to the greatest, it can happen to the least. How
Right.
sometimes, we struggle to remember in the dark what God told us in the light. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Even him saying that he would never leave us nor forsake us, it surprises us when he doesn't, even when we
Right.
try to leave or try to break
Right.
apart,
Exactly. Exactly. It's like you done with your tantrum now, which is pretty much in a way what Elijah was doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the only one left. I've done everything you wanted. And then God asked him again, "What are you doing here, Elijah?"
Yeah.
How we repeat things in our heads when we're in that state.
Like he's
And
the father.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, ma'am.
He's not our enemy. He's not our opponent. you know,
No,
the enemy would try
he's
to, accuse God all the time to make us think that he's on the opposite side, but he's on our side. He's rooting for us, isn't he?
exactly, yeah, and he's this ever-present God. He's
Yes.
not this figure that's just floating in the clouds watching or oh, I made you guys, peace out.
Yeah.
No, he wants to be involved. I heard somebody talking about I pray for a parking spot. I'm like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
Because if you and I were meeting somewhere, you'd be like, man, I found this great parking spot. So why can't
hmm
you talk? You can talk to God about everything.
I do actually.
So I do
Funny.
too.
Yeah. Like, oh,
Why
thank you,
not?
God, right at the door.
Yes,
Thank you, Lord. Oh my
right.
gosh. And he cares about the littlest things. If it's
Yes,
important to us, it's important to him. He knows
It,
our hearts.
yes, that reminds me of how you mentioned he cares about the little things. I
Mm-hmm.
I had this Tory Burch purse, brand new, and I just for some reason I never really used it. It didn't feel right, but I bought it, right?
Mm-hmm.
About a year later, he said, "Give it to your friend, a coworker,"
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, "Okay," you know. And I when I showed her because it came in this really pretty bag, she cried. She said, just last night I was asking God. I was looking for a Tory Burch bag, but I thought they were too expensive.
Oh
So
my
she
God.
technically didn't even ask him. She was just looking.
Oh
And it
my
was that morning when I heard that. And it kind of goes with what you were saying, that
Yeah.
God is Father. He
Yes.
cares even about a purse
Yeah.
that nobody else cares about, really, right?
Yeah.
So he loves
That's
it that much.
him. That's him. That's his heart.
Yeah.
It's a
He'll
beautiful
die for
thing.
you, and then he'll give you what only matters to you.
Yeah, because those things are
Yes.
nothing compared to his life, and he
No,
laid it
no.
down. Gosh, could you imagine allowing the people that you created to rip you to shreds?
I don't know personally, because
Yeah.
we have that clap back, but when we die to ourselves, then those things don't matter. And
Yeah.
somebody can call you a purple hippo all day. It doesn't make it true.
A purple hippo.
I I heard it said, what is it? It's not what they call you, it's who you answer to.
That's true. That's very true.
So,
I agree with that. So tell me a little bit more about your book. What is it called?
well, the running title is "Let There Be Light," and I'm writing it as we speak, and
Wow.
it's about hope and redemption. I've been
Hmm.
through abuse, addiction, recovery, because in recovery in itself is you really need God and to be stable and anchored.
Yeah.
um, Giving away parts of myself. I was with a narcissist who was I got kidnapped one weekend and tortured. He would say stuff like, "Oh look, the woods! I can kill you and bury you right now. Nobody would know." And these things get in your head. But God plucked me out of there, and just like I said, this long road to get to here, where finally a complete surrender. You know how they
Hmm.
say it's no longer us that lives, but Christ in us, and really understanding that and
Hmm.
also understanding the depth of his love.
Yeah.
I mean, salvation in itself is huge,
Yeah.
but really the healing of the layers of trauma, because you're healed one layer at a time.
That's right.
So, yes,
Goodness.
ma'am.
So what would you say to someone who is in a very dark place and they feel alone, they feel ashamed, they feel like God is disappointed in them, or that God has maybe even left them? What would you say to those people that want to come out but they don't feel like they can?
I would say, do not call dirty what God has called clean. That
That's
God
good.
is ever present. And if we just allow ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
to be brave and believe that number one, he's real and that everything he said is real, and we
Mm-hmm.
let him into our hearts, that will spark a change and it'll just go from there. But if
Mm-hmm.
I've been there in the darkness, literally the darkness, and feeling so alone, feeling so shameful, dirty, disgusting, everything is my fault, right? Oh, I've screwed up so much. God, I don't deserve to pray.
Mm-hmm.
But God will chase you down.
Yes, he
And if
will.
you have a call, and in a way, we all have a call, it's just in
Yes.
different scales, right? He
Mm-hmm.
will chase you down
Yes, he
until
will.
you finally say yes. But
Yeah.
just don't give up. Don't give up. You know, there's always hope. You're always going to find what you look for.
Yeah.
So I worked at a hospital for a while, and there was a charge nurse there one time that told me that she had plans to kill herself. And what she was going to do every day, she would find one thing to be grateful for, whether it's something big like my kids or, wow, that's a really pretty cloud today, God. And she
Mm.
said over time, she never came to a day where she couldn't be grateful for anything. So she's like, and I'm still here.
Wow.
So just find something to be grateful for. We need to shift our focus, right? From
Mm.
me to how can I help give what you want the most?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just a hug. Or if we get up today and we just say, thank you for waking me up, that's enough.
Yeah.
Just be open to Him.
Amen.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
what if you fall? What if you mess up? What if you don't do it right? What if you're imperfect? How do you combat those thoughts, those arguments from
Yeah.
people? that feel like they have to do it in their own strength, as if Jesus didn't die.
Right. Well, honestly, that happens to me even today. Sometimes depression will come try to knock on my door again.
Mm,
Sometimes, how we get irritated.
yeah.
Sometimes, we'll be driving and, just somebody blesses you with a one finger wave and you're like, whatever it is, right? It's just, the Bible says resist the devil and he will flee from you. So I've really taken to whenever I start feeling the depression trying to hit me, I know who you are. While there is a chemical thing with that, there's
Mhm.
also a spiritual level. So, if we need to take medicine, great for to handle the physical part. But the spiritual part, if I feel the depression, right, the D word, I'll just be like, I know who you are and what you are. So devil, I resist you. You must flee from me. So
Amen.
immediately. But it takes time to kind of get to this place of like being super faithful, being just super obedient. And I just want people to know, hey, come as you are. Even if you don't know the church talk, even if you don't know the scriptures, right?
Right.
Even if you don't know anything other than he saved you, that's enough. You don't have to do anything but call out to him.
That's all. That's all he wants.
That's it.
Yes. It's a beautiful journey. Wow. So, any advice, I guess, that you would have to someone that's listening and that's kind of teeter tottering, on the fence, not really sure? Because I know that you said that you had some dark moments. There
Yeah.
was supernatural intervention, and the Lord
Yes.
showed you the angel that was actually
Yeah.
surrounding you. That just gives me
Yes.
chills because I know those X-Acto knives, and they are very sharp.
It's a scalpel, like literally.
Yes, it is a
Yes.
scalpel.
Hmm.
Oh my God. The way that God intervenes that we don't even realize, when we're going about our day-to-day lives and our business, we don't even realize how many times that we're kept and covered.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
even though you weren't walking in absolute holiness and perfection, you were still his child and he still made sure that you were okay. That's so
Right.
beautiful to me. It really is. My gosh. Okay. So one more question. What would you
Hmm.
say to if you could go back and give your 12-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Keep going because
Mm,
I wanted to give up and quit so many times.
mm-hmm.
I, with depression usually comes ideation, suicidal ideation. With
Correct.
depression comes sometimes anger, and we throw tantrums. Sometimes we don't understand our feelings, right?
Mm,
So at 12 years old, I had no idea. I was already living in dysfunction, but I had no idea the path and the journey I was going to be walking into. I don't really
mm-hmm.
want to do it again. Um, but you're going to make it. Just keep your eyes to the hills from where your help comes from. And
Mm-hmm.
I have two scriptures that I've had pretty much my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
One is, now unto him who is able to keep us from falling and
Yes.
to lead us into his presence with fullness and with great joy. To the only God our Father, and Jesus Christ our King, be the glory, the power, the majesty, dominion, and authority, now and forever. As a kid, I'm like, why is that so important to me? Now I see why. Now unto him who is able to keep you from falling. And
Wow.
something else that I hold to now is let us hold unswervingly to the hope that we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And the 12-year-old me, he is faithful. He is always there, even when you doubt, even when you try not to believe, even when you feel gross and dirty and weird. He still loves you because you're fearfully and wonderfully made. So that's what
Amen.
I would say.
That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Well, right now I have Instagram. I just started TikTok, and then I have Facebook. As I breathe, I hope. I'm working on a book, and I shared with you earlier in the pre-interview, like, God, why are you having me step out so early and going on these, podcasts or telling people stuff where I literally, I'm not a novice at this. I have done projects like this before, but this is different. This is mission work now.
Yeah.
So I have this. I also have a mentorship circle group for people that have a call, a prayer group, openly starting to volunteer at the church with a prayer team. So it's
Mm,
like it's a journey. So it's like at the big, not quite the beginning, but like the stages where I'm about to just go. But it's like you want people to watch this process. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm like, okay, God, uh, let them watch as long as they see you.
A
And
light on
again, it's
me.
called As I Breathe, I Hope.
As I breathe, I hope. So that's
Yes,
you
ma'am.
on all the socials. As I breathe, I hope.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
love it.
Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Yes,
Wonderful.
ma'am.
Well,
Working on
thank
a podcast too once I figure that out.
yeah. Same name.
Same name. Yes, ma'am.
Same name. I love that name. It's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on today. It's been a wonderful, wonderful interview. It's such a powerful testimony, and I just thank God for your life. I really do. It's amazing,
Well,
and
thank you for having me.
I can't wait to see what's next in your life. It's like an unfolding flower. It's going to be beautiful to watch.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I love being here.
Yes, thank you. And thank you too for joining us for this week's episode of Chasing God. You can find me at I am Tameka Riley on all the socials and on YouTube. You can also watch us on your Roku channel at Kingdom Business Broadcasting Network. My name again is Tameka Riley, and we will see you next week. Bye bye.